Customer deposits are used for recording prepayments from customers for purchase of future goods or services. Customer deposits can also be used for overpayments received from a customer. In both cases, they are unearned revenues, and the money gets posted to a customer deposit liability account. If you are using CenterPoint accounting for agriculture, or if you're using CenterPoint fund accounting, you will need the Enhanced Accounts Receivable module to use customer deposits. We're going to first set up a customer deposit account. This is a one-time setup. You'll go to Setup and Accounts, and we're going to need an account called Customer Deposits. You could click New and create the account, and it would be called Customer Deposits. I'm going to go out. We already have an account out here. And I'll show you this account that's already set up. And the name of it is Customer Deposits. The type would be Liabilities, and the category is Customer Deposits. There's no other detail that you need on this account, just simply the type and the category, and you do not need any sub-account either. So once you have that account, we're ready to use it. And the first thing that we're going to do is receive a customer deposit from a customer. I brought up my receipt screen, and I'm going to choose my customer, Herb, and he sent us a check for a prepayment. I'll change the date here, and we're going to put in a prepayment of $300. When you receive that check that is a customer deposit, a prepayment, you're going to pick your account of customer deposit. So I have my account out here of customer deposit, and again, that's a liability account that was in that category of customer deposit. That will put the amount in that account. If I were to expand this account, it's going to go into my bank account, and it's going to increase this liability of customer deposits with a subledger balance under it for the name of my customer. For each customer that you have a customer deposit, it's going to maintain a separate balance for each one of those. If you want to see what balances are out there in customer deposit, you can go to your details screen, and on your account that you selected, you can click the lookup button and always see what balances are out here for that particular account. And you can see I have a couple other balances out there for some other customers. So I'm going to click OK. That's all we need here, and I'm ready to save this transaction. Now, later, we're going to put in an invoice for Herb, and there's a couple of ways to apply your customer deposit. You can either do it right at the time of the invoice, which we'll go ahead and put one in here, and select Herb. And our date is fine. We're going to go over to the Invoice tab and just put in an invoice for membership here. And at this point, we can see that he has a balance of -$300 that is representing the customer deposit. The customer balance up at the top is going to combine any customer deposit for that name and any open invoices that are already assigned to that name. So in this case, he has a -$300. We're going to say that we want to apply that previous customer deposit to this invoice. So I can click my amount received down at the bottom of the screen. It finds my customer deposit for this name, and all I need to do is simply click that checkbox and apply it. Or I don't have to apply the whole thing. If I didn't want to, I could apply a portion of it if I wanted to. This is the same screen where if he gave you cash for this invoice you're putting in, you could be assigning that to your checking account at this time. But in this case, we're just applying it to our customer deposit. We're going to click OK, and that lists how much we received and puts in a net due. So it took the deposit off and left the remaining amount as the net due. In order to apply this, you want to make sure that your accounts, your default accounts for customer invoices are filled in. You're going to need the customer deposit account filled in. These are accounts that you can set up in your preferences over in File, Preferences, Customer Invoice, and then under Defaults, and click the Database tab. These are our default accounts, and we wanted to make sure that customer deposits was assigned in that preference. You can assign it at the time of the entry, but then if you do it in the preference, it's always done for you. Now we're ready to save this transaction, and that will have assigned our customer deposit and decreased the accounts receivable and decreased the customer deposit for Herb. Our next thing that we're going to do is apply a customer deposit to an already recorded open invoice. To do that, you can go up to Processes, and under Sales, go to Apply Customer Deposits. And if we do our lookup for customer, it's going to give us the names of those customers that have open deposits at this time. And notice Herb isn't on here because we've already used it. But we're going to select Andy here. He has an open deposit balance and a couple of open invoices. So we can simply do Apply All, and it's going to apply our balance of our deposit to the open invoices with the oldest first. Or if we don't want to do that, I'm going to click Reset. I could apply the whole thing to this one invoice if I wanted to. Or I could apply a portion of it if I didn't want to use the whole thing. Like that, and it would leave a remaining balance. However you want to handle that, applying the deposit. Once you get that applied, we're ready to save. And that takes care of applying it through the Apply Customer Deposits. The next thing we're going to do is do a receipt for an overpayment. So we're going to go to our receipt screen again. And we have some open invoices here for Woody. And we can see applied open invoices. He's got some invoices, but he sent us more than what he really owed us. He sent us $600. So we're going to put that in, apply to our open invoices, and the screen comes up. If we just enter that whole amount that he sent us and click Apply, it's going to apply what was owed to our open invoices, and the remaining amount went down to overpayment. Now in the overpayment, we can put in our customer deposit so that it gets recorded to that. And now our customer deposit for Woody will have $55.65 to apply to future open receivables, or we could refund him. So we're going to do that too. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And it tells us that we have this receivable journal getting recorded to decrease his receivable and putting the $55.65 to customer deposit. And we're ready to save this transaction. Now the next thing we're going to do is go receive that overpayment. So let's go over to the Processes, Sales, and go to Refund Customer Deposit. And here is where we can send the money back. If that customer didn't really intend to overpay and doesn't want to leave it holding in our company for any future invoices, we can refund that customer. So again, we can do our lookup of those that have open receivables. And now we see Woody here. We'll spread this out a little bit. Here's Woody. And here is his open customer deposit. So we can refund one of two ways. We can either send a check and choose payment, in which case we're going to fill in the bank account. And we can put in the check number or whatever that might be. And it will automatically put a memo here of refund customer deposit overpayment. We can change that if we want to. And then we can put how much we want to refund. If we click the box over at the left to select, it'll refund the entire amount. Or again, we could just do a portion of it if we wanted to for whatever reason. We're going to do clear and do this again and just select the whole thing. Or the other way we could refund is just creating an accounts payable. Maybe we don't want to write the check right now. We want to do it a little bit later, but we want that payable out there. Then you can choose accounts payable invoice. This is going to make an accounts payable invoice, put it in your open payables to pay. to pay invoices due. It's going to your accounts payable trade or whichever payable account you want to select. And again, we can put in how much we want to make that invoice for. We're going to go ahead and leave it at payment, and we're ready to save that. And you can print the check here. If we click the print button, you could switch this to printing check, and this would print a check then if you were really printing one. And we're ready to save that. And that will clear out the refund. There are reports that you can also run on customer deposits at any time. You can go up to reports. And under reports, transaction reports and receipts is a customer deposits report. And I'm going to preview that. And it lists what happened here so far. We still have this open customer deposit. The report is only going to be on open customer deposits at the time. And on the one we did for Andy, we only applied 100. So it's telling us that we applied 100 toward invoices. He still has 200 in the customer deposit balance for him. And there is one other report under reports. And then applied customer deposits journal. It'll give you more detail on what's happened in your customer deposits. And you could put in a date span. We're just going to click preview. And here it lists the different things that have happened in our customer deposits. So here is the one where the overpayment was $55.65 and it was applied and refunded. And in Herb, where we began, we took in $300 as a customer deposit and applied that to an invoice. And then again, the portion that we refunded on Andy. So those are some different ways to use your customer deposits to maintain those funds that come in that aren't really earned revenue yet, and keeping all of those details straight with our individual customers.